with minus 188, and London are bottom with minus 220.
Stat line of the week. I'm going with my man, Liam Farrell. For a back rower to produce a 3-try, 1-try assist performance with 8 tackle busts, 160 metres and 3 clean breaks to boot, I think that's well deserved of him. Player of the week. I'm going with my man, Liam. No, if I was looking outside of the Wigan side, I'd probably actually throw in a mention for Tuilola here, just because I think it was a big breakthrough performance for him, for Salford, to actually be an important part of what they did, and have some real flashing moments on that highlight reel. But yeah, Liam Farrell was my player of the week. What about yourself?
I think possibly the stat line of the week, Ash Handley. I think, didn't you say 240 something metres?
Yeah, but only scored 1 try.
I know, but against a very good defence. Player of the week, the ice-curled kicking maestro of Mark Sneed.
And what was your highlight of the week?
Beating Leeds.
Yeah, mine's and also being featured in the photographs on the Hull FC Twitter feed after the game.
And the website, yep.
And the website.
Yeah, that's what happens when your son's best mates with the photographer.
For me, obviously, it's Gildart's full length try. I think that was the most sort of exhilarating try scored in this round of fixtures for me. Personally, I think it was a fantastic score and a world-class performer. In terms of the predictions, there was no world-class performance here from me and Tim. We were both 2 out of 6 last week. I'm on 64% for the season. Tim's on 54%. You're on 56%, and that says Tim, but it should say Alan, who's ahead on 68%. And being ahead in our sort of tipping race, he's also ahead of the Super Brew League. So co-host Alan stays at the top. Hull FC fan Michael Hawkins wears the yellow cap this week. And in the Fantasy League, Baggers is back on form. Of course, he stays top, but for the first time in a long time, actually, he's had the best weekly score too, 722. He was the only person in our competition to break 700 points this week. So well done to Alan Bagley, back on form. It's now time for other results. Championship round 22 started on Saturday with Toulouse hammering Sheffield 56 points to 18. It was a draw for Dewsbury versus Halifax, 28 points apiece. Late score for Dewsbury to rescue the draw there. Featherstone hammered hapless Rochdale 50 points to 6. Swinton continued their good run of form with a 30 points to 12 win over Barrow. The most controversial game of the weekend, nay the season, potentially for some Bradford coaches and owners and such like. York 25, Bradford 24. We had a review that I suspect is fake, but do you want to read it out anyway?
The game caller said, serious questions must be answered by the RFL, the Prime Minister, not that we have one, do we? And Norris McWhirter regarding the timekeeping in this match. Disgraceful. Hashtag ref's fault.
Yeah, now of course, reportedly there was 20 seconds missing off the game clock, and that was, I'm not sure, that was pointed out by Mick Gledhill, who is the game caller, who this is sending up this review that we got, who remains very, very partial in his coverage of matches. You'd always think he was doing a fans show like we do rather than trying to be a serious journalist sometimes. But anyway, apparently there's 20 seconds left at the end of the game when the hooter went. But my understanding is the RFL have a timekeeper that does these things. So unless he's suggesting that the RFL are sort of trying to put some conspiracy together against Bradford in favour of York, then I'm not sure what point he was getting at around that. And also lots of people are saying that they don't think there was actually 20 seconds left to play, and even if there were 20 seconds left to play, Bradford were not in a position to capitalise on the situation in the game. But also the bigger controversy that the Bradford coach and Bradford CEO and all that have come out and talked about. But Andrew Chalmers coming out and saying stuff, what a shock. Is the sort of questioning that York, when they had no substitutes left at the end of the game, basically used the concussion protocols to their advantage. So effectively questioning the integrity of the York City Knights' doctor, because there was a player taken off for a head knock who I think had broken his nose or something like that. Not necessarily means you get a concussion, but I would think under the current protocols, a serious knock to the face like that, you should be allowed a substitution. And why would it have benefited York if they were taking off a better player to put on another player who obviously... I just don't think it would have been done on purpose. It just screams sour grapes, and they need to get over themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say, clutching at straws, isn't there?
Yeah. York had a player sin-binned in this game, which obviously goes against the rhetoric.
Yeah. Although I have heard that, sometimes the official Rugby League timekeeper needs an elbow to tell him when he should be starting and stopping the timekeeping.
Let's talk about the positives, though, in this game. Two sides that have come up from League One last year, both being very competitive in the Championship, both putting together a really entertaining game that went down to the wire, so that's good. And 4,500 people at this game, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd rather
really
talk
good.
about that, but we do have an obligation sometimes to talk about some of the controversy, and I just think sour grapes from Bradford, and they need to shut up.
Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, Liam Harris had a good game, so maybe that's his level.
Yeah, is he on loan there now, or is he signed?
Yeah, no, he's on loan there at the minute.
Well, he kicked the drop goal that won the game in the 80th minute as well.
Yeah. And did you see about York's team announcement, how they did it?
No, I missed that.
They did a spoof of it being York against Bradford in 2050 and used, the Face app to age all of the players.
Okay.
That was quite amusing.
Good stuff there.
Just another little, fun gimmick.
And York have got by this year without necessarily going with the gimmicks that they were doing last year to get the ball rolling. They've just been solid performers on and off the pitch.
I think the thing is, if you can get fans in by whatever method, then the way to keep them is by performances on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they've been doing.
We always think the sport sells itself. It doesn't, unfortunately. But if you can sell the sport to people, they become fans of the sport quite easily.
Yeah.
And that's the way round York have worked it, and I think credit to them. And I'm sure there was a lot of Bradford fans making that trip too as well, so credit to them until they started refs faulting. Leigh 48.
Well, those who were.
Sorry?
Those who were refs faulting, because I've seen people like Al obviously not refs faulting.
Oh yeah, no. In fact, to be honest, it wasn't even the fans, was it really? Other than the game caller, it was mostly the coaching staff. Leigh 48, Batley 12, and then the final game of the weekend was Widnes 19, Toronto 24, and more controversy to talk about. Did you catch the booing as the Toronto side lifted the shield? Now this was Widnes' young side played very well in this game, and were unlucky to come away with nothing, although there was no grievous errors by the match officials that the Widnes fans, I think, felt had happened during the game. And then the existence of Ralph Rimmer, because he's the reason Widnes finished bottom of Super League 2 years in a row and actually finally got relegated because of their lack of ability on the playing field, not themselves. So yeah, there was booing for that, and that just culminated in booing when Toronto lifted the shield. And do you know what? I just think it's petty and wrong.
Yeah, I think...
If you're going to stay around, clap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Holding the presentation at, like, an opponent's ground, because very often you have to wait until you're back at your own ground, don't you, before you get presented with the trophy.
And it wasn't like they've not got time to do it at their own ground, and that they are going to do a presentation next time they've got a home game. So I suppose the presentation could have waited, but Ralphie boy and I can't even remember his name, the new president of the RFL, obviously they wanted to be involved, and so they didn't want to get on a plane to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think it's bad. As much as I don't really like Toronto, I do think it's bad form to boo.
Yeah, for sure. They've deserved the league leader shield. They've by far being the best side in the competition, and witness tested
whether that's cheating or buying it or whatever, following rules or not, they have finished top of the league. Yeah,
I think they've followed the rules, or the rules might have been shaped to support them over the last couple, certainly 2 years ago when the salary cap rules changed for the lower divisions. Yeah, I'll give you that one for sure. Witness young players play well though. I was impressed again by Joe Lyons in the halves. I think he's a very clever young player. And what was his name? Lloyd Roby in the centres was very good. And Dan Norman in the front row, I didn't see much of him before now. He looks like a prospect too, alongside all the other dozens of young players they've got at Widnes. I really hope that they can keep that standard up of production line. The standings then, Sarah.
Yep, so the win at Widnes confirmed the league leaders title for Toronto for a second successive year. They have an unassailable 11-point lead over second place York, who have 31 points. Toulouse and Leigh both have 30 as the race for the playoff spot stays close. The last playoff spot is held by Featherstone on 28 points, Bradford on 25 and Sheffield on 24 need things to start going their way to make the top 5 now. Halifax have 19 points. Swinton are pretty much assured of Championship Rugby in 2020 on 17 points. Batley have 13. Widnes and Dewsbury have 12. Just above 13th place Barrow on 9 points with games running out. Rochdale with minus 664 points difference will be effectively relegated if they lose to Dewsbury next week.
It was round 17 in League One. It started with Newcastle's good form continuing and London Scholars' bad form continuing. Newcastle running out 34 points to 16 winners. Then the historic match on Saturday. West Wales' first win since being renamed the West Wales Raiders. And 2 years ago it was 44 points to 16 over Coventry Bears. We had a couple of people get in touch about this one, obviously, historic occasion as it was.
Yep. Tom Andrews said, the first basketball team I played for didn't win a game for 3 seasons, so I can fully understand there's going to be some mighty sore heads in West Wales today. Sorry, I was miles away then. And Tim G said, congratulations to West Wales on a fully deserved win. Lots of changes for the Bears, but simply those who wanted it on the day won and deserved to be applauded.
You were just thinking you hope that Tom Andrews' rugby team went 3 seasons without winning a game.
I don't know what emojis Tim's put there, because again, I've just got boxes.
Oh, they were clapping hands.
That's very gracious of you, Tim.
The Coventry Bears showed all the grace and class that the Bradford Bulls have forgotten about.
What's really strange is, in some places I've seen it reported that it was West Wales 44 and Coventry 0, and others it's been 16. So I spent most of yesterday not knowing what the actual score was.
I'm confident that Coventry weren't nilled.
Yeah, fair enough.
Although you're right, yeah, it can be a lottery sometimes in Rugby League. But North Wales nilled Doncaster 30 and Workington 52, Keighley 4. Big win for Workington.
Yeah.
As the standings will tell us.
So Whitehaven stay top on 23 points. Newcastle are back up to second on 21, with Oldham just behind on 20. Doncaster and Hunslet have 18 and Workington jump into the playoffs on 16 points. They replace Scholars in 6th place. Scholars stay on 15 as their losing run continues. North Wales on 12 points are an outside playoff hopeful still. Coventry have 8 points. Keighley have 3 points and West Wales Raiders are on 2 competition points.
Exclamation mark next to that one. Well done, the West Wales Raiders. In the Women's Super League then, it was Leeds 16, St Helens 30, Bradford 16, Wigan 20 in the game that was on the R-League app. Bradford started this game very well indeed. Wigan just had enough power and patience to take the game in the second half. Castleford 54, Wakefield 8, so not quite the big shellacking that it was in the Cup semi-final a couple of weeks ago, but Fat Boy Rob stayed around, as did a few other people at Cass for this one. And what did he have to say about the match?
So Rob said, an easy win for Cass, who rested 6 or 7 first-team players, a la Saints. A good-sized crowd stayed back to watch. Wakey were loads better than 2 weeks ago and tackled well in the second half. Onwards to Bolton next weekend for the main event.
Yeah, NRL round 18. It was Broncos 28, Bulldogs 6. No place for Herbie in that game. Warriors 19, Sharks 18. Panthers 40, Dragons 18.